Okay. Looks like we have a good group on the webinar today. Once again, appreciate everybody joining for SpecRite's new release webinar. We're very excited today to show you everything that the team has been working on and that now is in the SpecRite product. Ravi, if you want to jump onto the next screen as a quick introduction. Sorry, just getting some feedback there. Looks like we're good. As a quick introduction, my name is Adam Armstrong. I'm our Vice President of Customer Success. Work with the team that leads all of our customer implementations, as well as have a hand in our product. Would like to pass it over to Ravi to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ravi Gandhi. I'm a senior product manager here at SpecRite, working on primarily on the platform as well as on our integrations stream. Jay.
Excellent. And we also have Jay Lee and Ayman Shokri on the call today to help with the question and answer portion as they oversaw the development of these new features. Short agenda. We're going to give a overview of everything that is in this new release, spend the bulk of the time going through a live demo, which I think will be most interesting to the group here, and then finish out with next steps and a question and answer session. There is a question feature on the right side of your screen in the control panel, so please type in any questions you have throughout the presentation. And with that, we'll get started with the fun stuff. So SpecRite's Exchange module enables our customers to seamlessly share specifications with their suppliers, co-manufacturers, and customers. We've upgraded the functionality so it's easier to execute bids within SpecRite. Many of our customers, including I think a few of you on the webinar, are already utilizing the Exchange to bid everything from corrugated packaging to raw food ingredients to cover even more of your bid process within SpecRite. We'll get into more detail when we get into the demo. Sustainability is obviously a very hot topic and something that has come up near the top of every questionnaire and every survey that we've done of our customers. And many companies have sustainability goals, but very few are able to actually track these goals on a granular level. Especially with life cycle assessments, which are very valuable. A key part to executing these is getting your raw material data, and SpecRite accelerates that by putting the key data at your fingertips to make sustainability a reality. We'll dive into more depth on the dashboard that you see here, but we've also introduced the ability to set up validations when creating specifications so you can keep that sustainability long term. We've had multiple customers that were already using SpecRite for the purpose of supplier document management, and so we added it to our core product and enhanced the functionality. You can now store and track key documents ranging from kosher certifications to letters of guarantee. As with all elements of SpecRite, you can run analytics on supplier documents. For example, we have one SpecRite customer that's placed a dashboard on their homepage of all documents that are expiring within 90 days and all suppliers that are missing FDA or USDA documentation. And they really use this as their key central location to start their day on a daily basis. We're definitely looking forward to showing you more about the document management. Unit of measure conversion is a simple but powerful feature. It enables those of you, especially that are doing business internationally, to automatically convert between standard and metric units of measure. I don't think there's a lot of explanation necessary here, but I can certainly say that this has been very powerful and a major time saver for a number of our customers. Live chat is an add-on feature that we recently enabled. It's available with certain SpecRite support packages. It'll allow your users to immediately troubleshoot any issues or get quick answers to questions when using SpecRite. We get excellent feedback on our customer support response time and attentiveness, but this allows you to be even closer to that immediate response. A couple more features, and then we'll jump into the demo. So SpecRite's map feature, which many of you have probably seen previously, allows you to quickly identify various parties in your supply chain based on location, from suppliers to distribution centers to customers. Based on your customer feedback, we've added a few enhancements that enable you to more easily get to the results you're seeking, as well as identify and contact the key individuals at these partners. We'll show you in the demo how our customers are using this for everything from optimizing distribution routes to knocking out multiple supplier audits in one trip. And finally, SpecRite News is a hub that not only showcases what's new in the SpecRite product, but it also shows you relevant and important packaging news from trusted industry sources. Ravi will show you an example of this in SpecRite, and soon we're expanding to include news from other industries beyond packaging. So with that, I will hand it over to Ravi, and we'll jump into the demo.
Thank you, Adam. So switching to the live demo here. Just give me a moment. All right, so here we are on the SpecRite homepage. So the very first thing you will notice here in the latest release is the live chat support right on the homepage, right? It's very, very easy to access. You can chat anytime you have a question by going to the home screen, and it's extremely easy for you to get in touch with the SpecRite rep. You can, of course, collapse this window while you're here as well. And it will show you basically the rep who is online at that specific time. So that's on the live chat. Let's get into the most exciting feature of this release, that is the revamped exchange. So let's start out by first trying to create a new bid, right? So as a user, you're going in here, let's say to initiate a new bid for a corrugated shipper. So I click on the new exchange bid request, type in the name, some description. The bid also requires a start and an end date. So let's go with today's date and an end date from a month from now. When I click on save, you are now prompted to enter some more information. So some key pieces here, there is the files section. So you can add files, as many files as you like. Let me just add one here. In this section here, you can actually add all the packaging specifications that you would like to attach to the bid. So for instance, and this screen here, for instance, you see that you can actually filter. So I'm going to be filtering on the record type, corrugated, and then I can select multiple specifications to attach. Click on done, at which point all of these specifications will be attached to the bid. And finally, here you can add the partners, right? So these are the suppliers that you want to share the bid with and send out the bids to. Let's select a few of these. Click done.
I think one important note to add as Ravi shows that is that we've received a lot of positive feedback from the suppliers that have taken part in bids with SpecRite, letting us and our customers know that it's been an easier way to execute the bid and a much more clear version of all the specifications that they're placing the bid on.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adam. So at this point, I believe the bid is ready to be submitted. And you see the submit bid request here. I'll go ahead and submit the bid, at which point the partners will receive the bid as well. So I have logged in this tab as one of the partners, Acme, and this is where they can see all of their bids. And I refresh the screen and I see that the bid that I just created shows up here. So let me open this up, and this is basically what the partner will see, right? So they will see all the included items that I have on the bid, as well as the files, which may include, let's say, instructions on the bids, or it can include other information like the specification, like the CAD drawings, for instance. And really the way to submit the bid as a partner is to attach that information in a file and then click on submit bid. So it's very simple, but as a supplier, you may want to collaborate with the the org as well, and with the submitter of the bid as well. So you can actually chat with them right through this feature here, right? So let's say I have a question. Okay. What is the deadline? So through chatter here, you can directly communicate with the person who created the bid. So when I go back here to the Exchange main screen, you see that there are a couple of more records that are created, one for each of the suppliers, which will give me the access to the chat screen with the supplier, right? So here is the message that I just sent as a supplier, and then I can respond here. So it's a very easy way for them to collaborate with each of the suppliers, right? And this chat here is confidential. It's between the supplier, right, and the person who created the bid, so the others cannot really see.
And the feedback that we've received that has led to enabling this feature is the desire to contain as much of the bid activity as possible within SpecWrite and within this one environment. And so this is one way that enables you to do that. And we're looking at anything else that happens outside of SpecWrite in the bid process, and trying to bring that in as well.
All right. So one last thing I want to show you here is how easy it is to actually submit the bid. So let's say there's a file that I've already loaded here. You can add it. So this is the bid, the file that I want to attach, and then I click on submit bid, and that is it. So
and suppliers can certainly include their bid response in that. They may also want to attach any notes or any required documents that are needed with the bid.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so that's on the bid. Let's move on to sustainability. So you see the new tab here for sustainability, and what Adam showed earlier was the dashboard. So that is basically the first of many features that we have planned for the sustainability umbrella and the tab. So talking a bit more about the dashboard, what you will notice here is that we have created this dashboard as a default, right? So it basically picks on several of the most commonly used elements that you are already capturing within SpecWrite. One of them is the material, and then the other one is basically the recyclability for the material, right? The percentage recyclability. So for instance, these charts at the top here basically are driven by the material, and you can actually drill down further, so you can see a full report on all these 14 records that make up this chart. There's also a very easy to use quick reference on the right-hand side on the RIC codes. So let's, for instance, you want to check, what are the 6 records or what are the LDPE records here, and you click on that chart on that specific section, and it will bring up only those 4 records. So it's very, very easy to drill down on the data. Similarly on the others as well. Yeah.
Robbie, I was going to jump in. A customer anecdote that I love here is that one of the major benefits of managing sustainability in SpecRite is that the data is already there and you can run these reports immediately. We have a customer who was spending 40 hours compiling just one of these reports.
Wow.
And now within minutes they have it available in a visually friendly manner to share with management. And so it really is true time savings this is enabling.
Right. And especially, when you're thinking about sustainability, we have been talking to so many customers, and really the goal is to track these metrics in real time, right? It's not a one-time thing that you do for, let's say, running an LCA, right? But more on an ongoing basis. And this is a very good starting point if you want to start doing that. Next, let's take a look at the supplier documents. So let's open up this one, which is a certificate of insurance. Adam, you want to elaborate on, what they would need this for?
Yeah. So, those of you that are familiar with SpecRite, there's obviously the ability to store any file inside of SpecRite. And so, we already have the concept of document management, but what we found, and excuse me, as I'm sure many of you are familiar with, is the ability to not just store documents, but track information associated with them. And so with all of your suppliers, or if you are a supplier yourself, you know that there's certain required documents that you need to supply on a periodic basis. And so this is a framework that enables you to manage those documents, track their status. As with everything in SpecRite, you can give your suppliers access and the ability to load these documents themselves. I know Ravi's going to get a little bit into the expiration notifications, but you can have any notification sent directly to the suppliers as well. And then you can connect these documents to any other record in SpecRite. And the ability to have those connections is really what makes it the most powerful, because if Ravi hovers over the specification there, you can see that the spec is one click away, the supplier is one click away. On this page, you can see that information. On the specification page, you can see all the supplier documents that are associated with it. So everything is interconnected.
Yep. And like Adam mentioned, right, one of the features that I love about this one is the expiration. So if I go back here, you see that not only does it track the expiration date, but there's a status associated with it. So like Adam said earlier, you can set up dashboards and you can see exactly the documents that are going to be expiring soon. So that's a configured status here, right? And there's an expiration term that you can set as well for each document individually. So if there is a document which is valid for a year, for instance, you can have a term for 30 days so that you would be alerted 30 days in advance. And similarly, if there's a document that expires in 3 months, then you can have a shorter expiration alert term for that specific document. All right, let's move on and let's take a look at the unit of measure conversion. So I have a record here, which is a packaging specification. And this is very straightforward, right? What you have here is a lot of information on the dimensions, on the weights. And you can see here that the height information, there are 2 fields. One is in inches, the other one is in centimeters. And if I go ahead and quickly change this value and save, you will notice that the other field here is also updated right away, right? So this is very, very easy. When you have global teams and suppliers that are globally distributed, it's very handy to have all of these fields set up so that when anyone makes an update on any one of these fields, the other one is updated right away. So it's very easy to use, something that a lot of our clients already take advantage of. Next, let's take a look at maps, right? So this is something that we have gone over in the last webinar as well. But we made some enhancements here, right? So quickly, for those that haven't seen this earlier, I can actually, type in, let's say, a city name, and you can pick and choose what suppliers and what location types you want to see on the chart, and it actually shows you within a 200-mile radius of Seattle, who are the suppliers, right? So, you can of course, hover over and you can see more details here, but really, if you go to the list view, that is where you can see that, we have different icons identifying the different types of these suppliers. In addition, we also have the contact information right here, right? So on the list view, you can actually sort based on the distance, based on the location type. So it's very, very easy to use. And you can directly go and initiate an email as well right from here. So these are some enhancements we added to the maps feature. Anything else you have to add, Adam?
No, I think that's perfect.
Okay. All right. Finally, let's take a look at the SpecRite news. So, we added this section here on packaging news. Like Adam said, we are going to be adding a lot more sources. Currently, this will pull in news from Packaging Strategies and Packaging Digest, two popular websites. For instance, here's one from Packaging Strategies. So it's very, very useful. If you are going to be in SpecRite all the time, to get direct access to these news right from within SpecRite. Below here, you see that we also have our new release information that is updated with every new release. So again, very, very handy feature. We'll keep on adding more sources, for procurement, for instance. So, that's going to be updated regularly. So that is it. So that is what we had for the live demo. I think we can get into the Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent, and we have about 5 minutes left. So please send in any questions if you have them. We do have a few that have filtered in. It's always awkward when there aren't any questions, so appreciate those of you sending a couple in. The first question is, does the system address how not to share confidential information of existing suppliers in an attached spec? So it's a great question. I'm going to kind of take it two directions. The first is that there's very robust security and permissioning in SpecRite, and so you can dictate exactly what different users can see, edit, and share, and you can do that all the way down to the field level. Also, there are a couple tools to input those checks and balances. So you can have warning messages as well as required fields or certain notifications that notify users to do or not to do something, such as share that confidential information. So there are those gates in there. The second question was, can you connect this to retailer records? So not sure exactly which feature that was in reference to. It may have been supplier documents, but the great thing is with any object in SpecRite, you can connect it to other areas, including retailer records. So you could have a supplier document connected to a specification, a retailer, a supplier, and a co-manufacturer. And then when you went to that retailer's page, you could see all of the documents associated with them, you could also report on that. Another question came in that says, at the spec level, can you see what partners have bid on this item? Definitely. So on the specification page, as well as the individual supplier page, you would see any bids that they have historically been a part of, and you would see a list of all of the suppliers or partners that have bid on a particular item. So it looks like we have a couple more. Can I manage other supplier documents beyond the types you have listed? So at SpecRite, we pride ourselves on combining customer feedback with our own expertise, and we have a great team with, for example, food and beverage experience, packaging industry experience, and so the types that we've set up are based on the knowledge of our team and what our customers have requested, but there's also the flexibility to add additional document types if any of those are not listed. So we have just a few minutes here. I have one more question I'll answer, and then definitely want to share with you the next steps and hopefully have some follow-up with the group here. So the last question was, how do our suppliers get access to a bid in SpecRite? So your suppliers will be users in the SpecRite system. So that way they can access specifications and, like we've talked about, supplier documents and other information on a regular basis as needed. And then if you need to add suppliers that are not current users of SpecRite, you can bring them in just for the bid, and they'll only have access to that information. So Ravi, if you want to jump to the next steps, first just want to, you're going to talk about the API. Yeah, go for the API and then I'll wrap it up.
Just a quick mention. So this is mainly for your IT teams and for your developers in-house. So we have recently launched the SpecRite API at the beginning of this year, right? And currently it's in version 1.1. So, we have several clients that have existing integrations with SpecRite and are building new ones. And the SpecRite API really makes it very, very easy to build the integration to your liking, right? So we have several exciting features. We recently added like the bulk upload capability, like the support for external ID and for support for fetching the binary attachments or the files from SpecRite, and a lot more features are planned as well for the next quarter. So definitely, if your IT teams are interested, definitely reach out to us, and we can share more details with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ravi. I'm personally very excited about the API because it makes our lives easier in the customer success group. Also really excited to announce that we have been named a Gartner Cool Vendor. Some of you may have seen that, but we're extremely proud to have received that honor and look forward to talking more about that. As we wrap up here, want to thank the group again for attending, and then just let you know we're happy to answer additional questions, share a deeper dive demo on any of these features. Please contact your customer success or sales rep, your best contact at SpecRite. Do share this with your team, those that were not able to join the webinar, and then we'd love to hear your feedback also, other features you were hoping to see, or anything else on these. So once again, thank you for your time and look forward to following up soon.